Well, the people have spoken. I put a poll out on YouTube yesterday asking you guys for the season ender Vikings, State of the Vikings podcast. How would you like this presented? Either a standard video podcast or a YouTube live discussion, and the votes were majorly in favor of a standard video podcast. So damn it, here we are. Where do the Vikings head from here now that the offseason has officially begun after being eliminated from the playoffs by the San Francisco 49ers this past Saturday? I have no idea what's going to happen with the Vikings heading into 2020. We'll go ahead and start with what's actually transpired since Saturday's loss to the Niners, starting with former offensive coordinator Kevin Stefanski gone. He is headed to Cleveland to be the next head coach of the Browns. That will mark the fifth offensive coordinator for Mike Zimmer in 7 years. Also gone, defensive coordinator George Edwards. It's speculated that he may join Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland. We'll see. Also gone, defensive backs coach Jerry Gray. He is out. So now the Vikings, the Minnesota Vikings, they are looking to do a complete overhaul with the coaching staff not named Mike Zimmer. And when we look at defensive coordinator replacements, we're looking at Adam Zimmer, defensive line coach Andre Patterson. Okay, fine, but I don't really care because unless things drastically change, more often than not, Mike Zimmer is going to be calling the defensive plays still. So I don't really care. George Edwards has forever been in the shadows of Mike Zimmer, and I think he has talent because I remember the fantastic job that he did in 2016 calling defensive plays against the Dallas Cowboys, because if I'm not mistaken, that was the game that Mike Zimmer was out. He wasn't there at the game because he was recovering from eye surgery. And granted, yes, the Vikings, they lost that game, but they held the Dallas Cowboys offense to just 17 points. Dak Prescott, he got sacked 3 times. I think George Edwards has a ton of potential. I wish him all the best wherever it is that he goes. As far as the offensive coordinator position, one thing is for sure, it damn sure ain't going to be Pat Shurmur because it's expected that he's going to join the Denver Broncos. So are we looking at Gary Kubiak? Are we looking at his son, Clint Kubiak? We'll have to see. What's interesting, though, is Mike Zimmer in his season-ending press conference, he expressed the fact that he wants continuity on offense, which I totally agree with because you don't want Kirk Cousins and this offense to learn a whole new playbook for the third time in 3 years. And all things being relative, I think the 2019 Vikings offense was a success because you're talking about the 6th best rushing attack, top 10 in scoring, even with Adam Thielen being out for half the year. I don't think the offensive scheme is the problem. It's the conservative cowardice play calling when facing adversity. Chicago, week 4, Saturday against the Niners. You were hell-bent on force-feeding Dalvin Cook, and it wasn't working. And instead of adjusting, you decide to keep on at it to no avail. Every single possession that the Vikings force-fed it to Dalvin Cook on first and second downs resulted in either a 3-and-out or an interception. You punted twice, down 17 points in the fourth quarter. By the time you finally decided to go for it on 4th down in the fourth quarter, it was 2.5 minutes left. By then, the game was over. And what's interesting, again, is that Mike Zimmer also talked about how he spoke with Bill Parcells about how to get over the hump. Now, think about that. For Mike Zimmer, getting over the hump is not about how do we get to the next level. How do we compete for championships? No. For Mike Zimmer, getting over the hump is how can we be competitive consistently in big games going into year 7? And I get it. This doesn't apply to all the Mike Zimmer supporters out there. To each his own. We all have our opinions. But for some of you Mike Zimmer fanboys out there, I get it. This man, Mike Zimmer, could throw some mud on your plate and you'll swear up and down it's chocolate ice cream. I get all that. But here's the thing. If you're content with padding up regular season wins against losing teams and squeaking into the playoffs only to get smashed, then we have nothing to talk about. You do you, homie. Well, you know what? He's 57-38-1 as a head coach. He has 3 playoff appearances in 6 years. So the fuck what? He's a bottom 10 head coach in terms of win percentage against winning teams, and your last 2 playoff losses, you've averaged 8.5 fucking points a game while losing by an average margin of 24 points. You want to know why I'm so pissed off with this team? It's because With the roster that we've had over the last half decade or so, this team has had the biggest opportunity to make some noise in the 20 years that I've been following this team. And I get it. You're not going to win a Super Bowl every year. Hell, you might not win even one Super Bowl, but boy, it'd be nice if you look like a professional football team against big boy teams in big time games. And instead of being a tough out, you've been a complete waste of time. And say what you want about Brad Childress, that 09 NFC Championship game, yes, some mistakes were made here and there, but that was a great fucking game. That game went down to the wire to end the Viking season. When the fuck have you ever seen anything close to that in the Mike Zimmer era to end the season? Oh, whoop-de-doo. 2015, the Blair Walsh kick 4 years ago. Congratulations. Here's how the Vikings got into the mess that they're in right now. 2016, you kept Matt Khalil on a 5th-year option. And it's funny because this podcast really didn't start picking up steam until the 2016 season. But before that, 2015, 2014, I said, yo, this dude sucks. You need to cut him. And the people that were listening to me, oh, Randy, you don't know what you're talking about. Matt Khalil, he just needs to get healthy. He understands the system. Okay, fine. And guess what? He went to Carolina and he sucked. He went to Houston and he sucked. He didn't even make the roster over in Houston. And okay, fine. He got hurt. You brought in Jake Long off the couch and he got hurt. Then you settled with TJ Clemmings at left tackle. You didn't address the offensive line. Forget Matt Khalil with depth behind the starters for the offensive line. Then you get to 2017. Go back and look at that NFC Championship game. The whole defense, the entire defense looked lost. Every single player on that number one defense in the league for the 2017 NFL season looked lost out there. You got embarrassingly outcoached by Doug Peterson in the NFC Championship game. Then in 2018, you bring in Kirk Cousins. Guess what? I guess newsflash, everybody. This is not breaking news. Does anybody know Kirk Cousins is not a mobile quarterback? He doesn't have any sort of elusiveness in the pocket. Did anybody know that? Did anybody know that? Is this new information? This is not new information. Everybody knew this about Kirk Cousins, even going back into his Washington days. So we know that, right? This isn't new information right now. We knew that signing Kirk Cousins last year in 2018, right? So what type of offensive line do you need for that? Ideally, for a statue of a quarterback, you need the beefiest, bulliest offensive line, the most manliest offensive line that you can put together. And what did you dudes do in the 2018 draft? You said, fuck that, bro. We are going to go first round in the draft, Mike Hughes, cornerback. Fuck Will Hernandez. Fuck anybody else. We're going to go Mike Hughes, cornerback. Mike Zimmer's got every defensive player that he's ever wanted. Fuck the offensive line for Kirk Cousins. You went out and got Mike Hughes. You got Brian O'Neill, who you thought was going to be a project, but okay, fine. But even more of a negligence against Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer. You have everything to do with this too, because you wanted Mike Hughes, right? You moved Mike Remmers, a right tackle, to guard, and what do you know? That was a shit show. And then you had the audacity to be surprised. Oh, the offensive line is so bad. I can't believe this happened. Really? Then you get to this year, and the offensive line has improved. I will give you that. But then you get to this year, and you curled up in the fetal position against the San Francisco 49ers on Saturday. And, oh, wait, no, actually, let's back up. Let's back up a little bit. Back into the offseason leading into the 2019 season. Right? We talk about Mike Zimmer. He got every player that he's ever wanted. These motherfuckers treated Anthony Barr's free agency like he's Aaron fucking Donald. Oh, we lost Anthony Barr. What do we do? Oh, he wants to come back. Let's give him the bank. Let's bring out the Brinks truck. This dude, Anthony Barr. You know what's crazy? Before I get into this disclaimer, I tried, bro. I tried to get on the Anthony Barr train. I tried to be like, okay, maybe this dude is something. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. This dude, Anthony Barr, finished with 1.5 sacks for the season. That is the second lowest total for his career. You know what? When it comes to defensive players, Anthony Harris, he's a ball hawk. This boy's got bounce for days, interception machine. Harrison Smith, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Daniil Hunter, you can put him at left end, right end, against the run, against the pass, doesn't matter. This boy's gonna rack up stats. Eric Kendricks, best coverage linebacker in the league. What the fuck has Anthony Barr done? Everybody out there, and people shitted on me. People crushed me for the whole Anthony. I said, yo, why are you bringing back Anthony Barr? He's a nobody. And people crushed me for it. What the fuck is that? In the divisional round, he got bull rushed by a quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. Really? Jimmy Garoppolo, a quarterback, took Anthony Barr, a linebacker on, an outside linebacker on, and bull rushed him over, pancake Anthony Barr. You know what's crazy? All these Anthony Barr fanboys out there, the crazy thing is the last 2 years, quarterbacks have made more plays on Anthony Barr than Anthony Barr has made on quarterbacks. Thinking about it, last year, Mitch Trubisky twice. Russell Wilson in 2018. Oh, and Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen. Not only did Josh Allen score on a run to the left side, running around Anthony Barr, who was too slow to keep up with Josh Allen, apparently. Not only did he score on him by hitting the ball on the pylon, Josh Allen galloped over Anthony Barr like a fucking horse. And then we get into this year, Jimmy Garoppolo bull rushed you over for a pancake block. Anthony Barr, so you've got all the players that you want. Loyalty, that's your problem. Xavier Rhodes, I said in the offseason, trade Xavier Rhodes, trade him. That's the thing. Forget Bill Belichick and his schemes and everything that's made him a great coach. Just the overall formula for Bill Belichick. Fuck loyalty, can you perform? That's all it's about. I don't care where I drafted you at. I don't care what the contract we signed you for. Can you perform? If so, we'll keep you on. But the problem with Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer is we are so loyal to players that we don't give a fuck. We will strap the cap, and it doesn't even matter. Anthony Barr, Xavier Rhodes sucked this year. What? How can we see this coming? I said it in the offseason. Couch GM. If I was your GM this year, Xavier Rhodes would not have been a problem because he would have not been on this roster. In fact, I'll take it a step further. In 2018, if I were your GM, the Minnesota Vikings would have made the playoffs. You know why? Because I would have kept Kai Forbath and Rick Spielman, your dumbass, you went out. Why the fuck would you draft Daniel? Why would you draft a kicker after Kai Forbath made the most clutch kick in the history of this franchise? Fuck that. We're going to get the sexy leg from the SEC. And it's funny because if you kept Kai Forbath in that Green Bay game week 2 in 2018, the Vikings would have won that game. You would have made the playoffs. But instead, you got cute. This is how the Vikings got into the mess that they're in right now. So as far as going into the 2020 season, okay, fine. Rick Spielman, Mike Zimmer, you'll be there. And for me, prove it. And all right, here are my expectations right now. Now that I'm going on a tangent. Okay, sorry. Here's my expectations right now. In order for Mike Zimmer, if it were me, for Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman to stay on with the Minnesota Vikings beyond 2020, get to the fucking NFC Championship game. And not only get there, you need to be competitive. Don't get there and look like a bunch of soft-ass babies out there like you did on Saturday. That's my expectations. But here's what's actually going to happen because I see this coming. The Wilf brothers, you put out your statement, we intend for Mike Zimmer to be here. We value Mike Zimmer. You value mediocrity. If you extend Mike Zimmer beyond 20, give him a lame duck season. Okay, fine. 2021, we'll extend him for 1 year so that way he doesn't have to answer the questions. Okay, fine. But really, this is a prove it year, 2020. If the Wilf brothers extend Mike Zimmer to a full-on contract extension, that tells me everything I need to know about the owners, about the organization. It tells me that you don't care. It tells me that you don't care because, oh my God, we have one of the top 5 rosters in the league. And we're sitting here, for all the Mike Zimmer fanboys out there, we're sitting here celebrating that, well, we made it to the playoffs. We got to the dance. That's half the battle. We're building something. 7 years against the big boys. When it comes to the Minnesota Vikings, right? I don't give a fuck about regular season stats, padding up wins up against bum-ass teams. when it comes to going up against real teams, when it comes to competing and being respectable, have some respect for yourselves. Saturday, you look like a bunch of bums. You look like a bunch of crybabies that didn't want to be on the field. When it comes to the Mike Zimmer era, Mike Zimmer as a head coach has been a complete waste of time. Think about this. I've shitted on Xavier Rhodes this entire season. Xavier Rhodes, back when he was great, 2016, he was a top 3 corner. 2017, best corner in the league. Wasted. All gone. Doesn't even matter. Everson Griffin, one of the best pass rushers we've ever had. Wasted. Doesn't even matter. Harrison Smith, he's getting older. Doesn't matter. Come on, dog. All the amount of talent that we've wasted on this team because of this man, and you're trying to get over I'm trying to get over the hump so you can be fucking competitive. Stop being so fucking cowardly and calling some conservative plays. Fuck out of here, man. What? We do this 3 times a week. Mediocre Best Sports Podcast with Realistic Randy. Check me out on Twitter at realistic_Randy. Facebook at Realistic Randy. No more podcasts the rest of this week. It's the off season. You know, unless some breaking news happens, like I'll definitely talk about it if something happens. But if not, I'm not. This isn't that type of YouTube channel where, oh my God, this coach released this quote about our team, so let's talk about it for 10 minutes. It's not that type of channel. That's not who I am. I figure you guys might need a break. It's whatever. But if breaking news does happen, I'll be sure to talk about it. The next podcast will be next week. We'll see you then.